you're going to sit there and talk about expectations and all these other things, it starts from both sides. Everybody has to be very transparent and clear about what it is they actually want. So you have some people, like you say in the hard conversations, some people not willing to be real about what it is they actually want, and they blanket it. And then that's where the confusion comes from, because now you have somebody that's there because they're like, look, I'm here because of X, Y, Z. This is what you presented to me. So now, yes, that's my expectation of you because that's what's presented. You said that's what we want, and we all in alignment, right? But then if you start to deviate from that, and then that person now is questioning or saying like, I really don't know how to play this, because now it's confusion in the air. So when we talk about communication, it starts from literally day one.
Welcome world, welcome family to another episode of the EL2A Podcast. I'm your host, Jamie Gilmore Jr. To the right, we got Mr. Military Man, Mr. Myles. How you feeling today, brother?
Feeling pretty good today.
Love to hear it. To the right of him, we got the Rocket, the highest of 7 Hill. So Mr. Eddie Rocker, how you feeling today, brother?
Pretty good, man.
Y'all boys look good, man. You got your KD gear on, everybody's shoes looking good. Y'all boys look some good looking fellas up here, man. And again, family, we always gonna start off. What I want you to do is stop what you're doing right now. Like, subscribe, and comment. All right, no sense of tapping into this information and making sure you are not liking, subscribing, and comment. And second thing, our banquet, July 26th. On July 26th, it's gonna be the best night in Ocala, Florida, the best city in the world. We'll be having our end of the summer banquet. During this banquet, just a time for us to highlight our boys. We're gonna have some special guests there. We're gonna have some special presentations. And our boys, man, that's what it's all about. They'll be doing some special things there as well. So make sure you come out. The tickets are live now. All you got to do is go to cutdifferent.org. You go to the events tab, and then it'll lead you right to where you need to be. You can buy individual ticket. You can purchase a table, and you also can sponsor the event. And we also got program as advertising. If you're a business out there, you're an entrepreneur, why not? Great night for you to be able to put your business out there. Partner with us so we can help you help us. All right, so make sure you're there that night. All right, fellas. So what I want to talk about today, to get right into it, I don't want to waste nobody's time. We just left a workshop today with our man Sean T, the Still Paying workshop. During that workshop, I'm like, I constantly think like we literally are introducing these dude boys to everything, like any and everything. If you think about just a variety of things that we've done up to this point. So during the Still Paying thing, it can be easily looked at like, why am I doing this? Like, what is this doing for me? I'm gonna swing around y'all because I don't want to put words on nobody else. When we're taking the boys or for them to do that, what do you think the importance of even them being there with a Still Paying? What do you think that the importance of having them in that environment, experiencing that?
Well, it's something I always tell the boys routinely, even if it's something that you're not directly interested in or you may even think it's fun or whatever, it's still important to expose yourself to, because I'm big on at least knowing of something so that if you ever come back across it or it pops up in a conversation, whatever it may be, you're not lost. You should be able to be in any room, any conversation, and keep up. But that only comes from exposure. So that's just my take on it.
How about yourself, The Rocket?
Yeah, they so with that one, for me to find out that, Sean T, that was something that they did within their community. So when you think about steel pans or steel drums, I'm thinking that's just like a cultural thing where they just do it for cultural reasons. They're doing it just to have fun, so to speak. But then when he got into the money aspect of it, seeing how you can turn something that you, I guess your passion, basically turning your passion into a business, making money off, doing something that you love to do. So for the boys, I think for them to see like, okay, I could play a steel drum, but I can go be playing an actual orchestra and make, like he said, he makes great money being a part of an actual band or what is the orchestra that is? So something like that. But he's making money doing something that he started out at a young age. And I think we're showing the boys that they can do the same thing. Take something that you love doing at a young age, transition that into your adulthood and make money off of it.
The cool thing about it, so how my mind went when we was there today, I think about the boys. So when you think about the boys, you think about music. When we think of music, they love music. They love rap music, hip hop music, and they listen to all these different beats. My mind kind of went to like a Timberland or a Dr. J or something like that. So they're listening to that music, but if you break that music down to its core, it's somebody hitting one of them pans or tapping one of those little things that they were doing. And I think that was the beauty of it. So to be able to break something down to its core and be able to like, look, this is how it's pieced together. I think so many times, and we can even broaden it up as for anybody, anything, so many times you're looking at it from the top surface and you don't take the time to break it down to really find an interest, because you can't, I don't think you can say you're interested in music, but you're not interested in tapping on that pen, because at its core, this is what you're getting out of it. So I think that was a cool thing to me, because again, I think everything should be dissected to that sense, because again, at the overall, you can't I can't appreciate Myles and then not appreciate what makes Myles Myles. You get what I'm saying? It's just you working on two different ends. So I think that was the beauty of it. So and that just goes to anybody. Anything that you're doing, man, I think we should take the time to dissect these things and get outside of your comfort zone. I heard Myles, I think you said it maybe on last podcast, and you said it multiple times, like you read things that you're not interested in just because it stretches your mind, and you can take something out of it. Excuse me. And I want to share that that's what we should do. So as humans, as anybody that's watching this, you should be able to do that. Put yourself in them environments that you may not want to be into or be in, and be able to stretch yourself to be able to see more. And that's what we're doing, man. I think when you're talking about owning your greatness, is that it's just stretching yourself. So I had to say that. That's just something that was on my mind, so I definitely had to get that out. But what I do want to talk about, so unmet expectations. This morning we were having a team meeting, and we were talking about just where we're going and the things that we're doing. And as a team, communication is very important. No matter what team you're part of, you have to communicate. Everyone has to know what the next person is doing to make sure that we're reaching a goal. I brought up to the team one of our board members, Mark Cummins. He was here on the podcast. If you haven't seen it, go back and watch his episode. But he's a mentor to me, and he's a board member of ours. And I asked the board to do a certain thing, and Mark replied to me, because obviously in the space that we're in, and it's just like me. We run a nonprofit, but I sit on boards as well. But as a nonprofit leader, the board understands that, okay, he's trying to raise money and he's doing other things as well. So we're going to exclude him from certain things just so there's no conflict. So Mark, even though I know that about him, every time that I send out an email asking the board to do something, he replies. Literally, and not the same, in a different way, he says the same thing. Hey, just want to let you know, I ain't going to be doing this because of I got this. Like every time, so yeah. If I email him one week, the next week, and I'm asking the board to do something, he's going to reply and say, hey, I can't do this because of this. And he also said unmet expectation is like the biggest confusion. It was some way he put it, but he just put it about how unmet expectations can lead to chaos. And that made me think about to us and making sure that we all on the same page. And so when we talk about our communication and we talk about unmet expectations, I kind of want to swing it around and talk to y'all. So when was the time that you expectation of yours, you was expecting a certain thing out of whoever this person was, and they didn't do it? How did that, affect the relationship you have with that person? It could go anyway.
It's two different ways. So I talk about relationships. So you're in a relationship and you see somebody when you first meet them. So for me, it's a beautiful woman. It's a disclaimer, sweetie. I'm not talking about you. This is just out there. But in general, you see a woman or a man that you think you want to date, and you have this expectation in your head of what that person is or who that person is in society, his character, her traits, whatever it is. You see her in a certain way, and so now you have this high you have this high, I guess, your attention is on it, and then you want to make sure you're thinking that this person is going to do everything that this person with those high expectations that you put on them is going to do. And the moment that person makes a mistake, does something against whatever you thought they would do, I guess you thought this person was just the perfect person, and when the moment that person does something that you don't like, now, since that expectation isn't met, the way that you viewed them, the way that you cared about them, the way that you used to love them, or whatever the case may be, is not the same anymore. So that's where the confusion comes in. That's where the communication, if the communication is there, to your point, that's when the relationship starts to crumble, because the communication is in there for the two to understand that, okay, well, this is probably what you thought of me, but I'm still a human being and I'm going to make mistakes. So I think those, that's a great example.
Yeah, even in the relationship aspect, I kind of said this to Shauna, my girlfriend, one time. I was like, it's kind of so for you to understand, and I was telling her this, I was like, for you to understand me, I'm kind of doing myself a disservice to expect you to understand me. You get what I'm saying? Because I'm me. I'm the only me, just like you. So obviously, when I'm saying something to you, like, it's not really you. You're not gonna get it because you're living your life through your lenses. And again, obviously, you deal with people, and some people may understand you, but you should be not. What I'm getting at, you should be not surprised when somebody doesn't understand what you're trying to say, because when they're approaching whatever you said, and they see it through their lens and through the experience and the things that they've been through, so it's kind of offset. And even to your point, while you was talking, I was kind of thinking about the expectation of people. So think about how many people go to their job and they are literally, they feel like they're being let down. They feel like somebody is doing them wrong because they're not meeting the expectation that they may have for them. So how can I go about making sure that expectations are clear? So if I'm that employee that may be walking into a job, if I'm that mentee that may be walking into the mentorship and I just feel uncomfortable, I feel like you doing me wrong, what can I do as that person to be able to make sure that expectations are clear? Because I may feel inferior. My boss may not can't talk. Like, I don't feel like I have the authority to talk to this person, or it is what it is. I go back to me, man. When I was in college, I literally walked into that environment. I walked into an environment that I didn't want to walk to for the longest time because I felt like it is what it was. There's nothing I could say to this person to be able to make them see it how I see it. They're going to do what they want to do. I'm just going to show up every day, and it is what it is. I'm here till my time up, and then I'm going to go about my business. So I don't think that's the right mentality and approach. I always go back to, now I think that time of my life made me the person who I am today. I don't let stuff slide. I don't let stuff, I go into that and be able to set the expectations that I want for myself. What is something people can do to be able to make sure that they are setting expectations for themselves and not just going with it is attitude?
I mean, you just said it. Just having those, I guess, in a sense, that could technically be a tough conversation. You know what I'm saying? Because it may be a conversation that you don't want to have. If somebody tell you what their expectations are for a job, or, well, we'll stay with a job. So, you want you want to get a not a raise, but you want to get a promotion, and you think you're qualified to get that promotion. But then when you ask your supervisor or your VP or whatever, if you ask them, like, what do I have to do in order to get there? And then that your VP or your higher up tells you, this is what it's going to take, or these are the qualities that you have to have. That's a tough conversation, especially if as you're hearing what you're being told that's going to help you get promoted. If you don't have those qualities, you kind of, you got to be able to accept that and say, okay, what can I do to get myself to that point? And I think you just got to be willing to have those conversations, even though sometimes it's hard. I'll go over to the side of the relationship real quick. When you said, sometimes I've gotten better with the communication and people not being able to understand my girl before, but now I know, to your point, it's like, okay, well, I can't expect her to know what I want, or I can't expect her to see it from my point of view without communicating that to her. Even though I know going into this conversation, she may not take it well, I have to be willing to have that conversation if I want our relationship to continue in a positive way. So having those tough conversations.
Yeah. What you think, bro?
I kick it back to the previous part with Angie Lewis, and said when she brought up the point about how, she said that she wanted to do X, Y, Z, but her friend was like, no, you really don't. That goes hand in hand with the conversation, because when you're talking about expectations, it's akin to assumptions, right? You're assuming that person is going to do X, Y, and Z, or you're taking them at face value. Now, if you're coming to somebody saying, hey, I'm going to do blah, 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 and you keep saying that's what you stand on, et cetera, but everything you do is counterintuitive to that, or a bulk of what you do is counterintuitive to that, then you can't really fault somebody for saying, oh, well, the expectations I have for you are being skewed, and now is this relationship crumbling, because you said one thing, but your actions, right, is battling with your values that you put out. So if you're going to sit there and talk about expectations and all these other things, it starts from both sides. Everybody has to be very transparent and clear about what it is they actually want. So you have some people, like you say in the hard conversations, some people not willing to be real about what it is they actually want, and they blanket it. And then that's where the confusion comes from. Because now you have somebody that's there because they're like, look, I'm here because of X, Y, Z. This is what you presented to me. So now, yes, that's my expectation of you because that's what's presented. You said that's what we want. And we all in alignment, right? But then if you start to deviate from that, and then that person now is questioning or saying like, I really don't know how to play this because now it's confusion in the air. So when we talk about communication, it starts from literally day one. Day one, it has to say, okay, this is where I want to go, and this is why. Either you can get with the reasons why, or you're not. And it needs to be that black and white in that regard, because now if you're sitting there telling somebody one thing and then you start to change up a little bit, different intentions start to come out, different things like that. Yeah, you always gonna have these types of issues. To go back to the relationship thing, like you talking about in a more intimate relationship fashion, in that regard, a lot of times people come in with preconceived notions of what somebody's going to do for them or whatever. That's not realistic. And that's when you start having people say things like, oh, this person changed, right? You hear that a lot when people break up. Oh, he just changed. She just changed. No, they didn't. That person's always like that. You, in your mind, you created a picture of how that person was supposed to interact with you all the time. That person never agreed to that. That person never said that. That's a self-contract you made no sign, right? Then when they just being them, now you feel wounded because you're like, well, that's a breach of contract. No, it wasn't. You never told that person that. You came into that. That's why a lot of marriages fail too. Because they go into a marriage, they think, oh, this woman is going to sit here, literally be a maid, a servant, 24/7. I just got to keep my feet up. Or this dude, he's just a provider, just money. He doesn't have a soul or heart. He can't, you know what I mean? Like, you have a lot of those things go on. So those are the issues. It's either somebody in their mind came up with this fantasy of what it's supposed to be like. That's not reality. And then from a business partner standpoint, a lot of times too, you have people who are not very direct about what it is they actually want and how to go about it. Because one person may sit there and think that one person is acting different, but if they're seeing the end goal from their perspective and they're like, well, how can I help us get to that end goal? And to them, they're working their part to get to that end goal. But because, again, the conversation was never genuine from the beginning, now you have, this person going this way, this person going that way. And then now everybody just like, what is going on? And that's how things fall.
So I'm going to get personal. we grow from this. But the expectations that I put on Kim, like when I started transitioning into adulthood and I started, I was on ET heavy. I was listening to podcasts. I'm listening to different YouTube videos in the morning as I'm going to work, getting pumped up, trying to go to your point, I'm headed this way. I know, my course, the track that I'm on is going to help me get, elevate me to another place in life, financially and all those good things. And I got to the point where I was trying to say, like, hey, you need to listen to Eric Thomas too. You need to listen to the YouTube, you need to do these same things that I'm doing in order to get us both in that same direction. But I never had that conversation with him that say, hey, do you even like Eric Thomas? Because I hear a lot of people that say he screams too loud. To me, it's perfect. It suits me very well. But for her, that's not her thing. I had to learn, and I guess that's the tough conversation. Now, we did have disagreements and things, things weren't always perfect. But through our disagreements and us not being on the same page, I was able to understand her. Then we started communicating, and then I figured out, as long as I continue so the expectation that I still had, as long as I continue to do what I was doing, the motivational podcasts and the YouTubes, I never had to say anything to her because she was seeing what I was doing. And when I started doing the entrepreneur route, with the car haul and owning my own business, it started rubbing off on her. Now the communication, now we're talking about certain stuff as being business owners together in our relationship. So the communication, now we having those same types of conversations about the things or the mishaps that I experienced, she experienced in her business. So and now those expectations as a couple that are entrepreneurs, now we could come to the table, we could talk about, our day together and be on the same page. So
yeah. I mean, at the end of the day, your path to the end goal does not have to be the same as long as the end goal is the same. If you have different end goals, and like I said, whether you voluntarily or deceitful about what you say your end goal is or what you're putting out there, or whether it is involuntary, like it's just so kind of like you thought that's what it was that you needed or wanted, but as it started evolving, like not really, I got shifted a little bit. That's when those issues come. It doesn't if the end goal truly is the same. Let people get to that end goal how they get to it. Because if you want somebody to be the best at what they do, you got to let them be the best at what it is they do. You can't sit there like you say, well, you got to go listen to Eric Thomas. That might not resonate. They may go listen to this person or read this book, and that's what helps them. Why stagnate that? Like let people flourish and give them space to mature and mold themselves into the person that again, the actual end goal is agreed upon. They're going to get there. You have to trust that. And especially in a relationship, you have to trust that. Again, personal. I know for me, if I have a goal, I'm mainly just straight shoot it. But my wife, she has a different process. I can't get mad as long as at the end of the day, I know and trust that my wife, we're on the same page saying this is our end goal. Go do what you got to do. If you need help with it, just come let me know. And I'm going to do the same thing in return. That's how you get the best out of people, and that everybody, they don't feel like it's certain limiters or pressures being applied that shouldn't be there. Just let them grow and then support.
I think that's how winning. So we're going to get to that. So at the end of the day, and I think that eliminates it, well, because it's tricky. Both people can have their eyesight on winning, but if the expectations of someone is, again, like we saying, we both thinking we going this way, and then that person do get to start tricky. That's why the communication is important. But we're going to get there. But what I want to do, I want to bring it up. I think I want to gear towards Myles. So I want you to think about it. I want you to think about your Army experience. And like how we kind of were talking about like expectations. Was there not a time, and I'm going to tell you one of my experiences, but was there not an expectation at some point during that experience or your tenure with the Army that you expected something from them and they let you down? And I want you to just sit on there and think about it. But I'm gonna tell you why I asked that. Because when we talk about the expectation, like, and it sounds good as far as the sense of, obviously you have to be clear, but sometimes it just seems like there should be a common senality in the expectations. And I think a lot of people may struggle, if I'm not the only one, that may struggle with that. So for instance, in my college athlete experience, I felt that if there was just there's a common sense of way you should be treated as a person, as an 18-year-old young man, that was a man that came and sat on your couch and told your parents that they'll never leave, they'll never do these different things for you, and then they just up and leave one day. So my experience, my college coach, he left. He went to another school. The way we figured out, he just walked in and said, "Hey, I'm leaving," and left. So that was an unexpected expectation. Whoa, what is this? Expectation unmet. At that level, I feel like we had an expectation. Some may say his expectation too. On the other side, I came here for a job and that was complete and I left. However that is, okay? The other end, when the new coach comes in, again, he calls my phone, we have a conversation. This is what we're going to do, this is how we're going to do it. I have a clear thought of what I think a person is, but then when I meet this person, they're a whole different person than what they thought there was. So again, my expectation was unmet. So in those two circumstances that I'm saying to you, I feel as if I thought I knew, and I think a lot of people struggle with that. So they get into situations, and I may not felt like what more communication was needed in that moment. Like, you told me something, I heard what you said. Now we get into the environment, things change. What was I supposed to keep checking in with you to make sure you were going to change? You get what I'm trying to get? I'm just trying to make sure, like, because there's somebody that's hearing us. They like, man, like at some point in time, there's just certain things that people are, I guess, supposed to give. And now me and that I'm today, I look at things totally different, but just I'm thinking for the person that may be thinking that way. And I asked you that experience because I spoke about mine. Was there an experience that you experienced when you were in the Army that kind of in that way, like you just felt as you're here serving your country? You were literally prepared to lay your life down for this country. And I guess it's something that wasn't given or something that happened that you like, dang, bro, y'all gonna do that to me? I'm here serving y'all and y'all did. Did you ever experience that?
Not directly in that context, but I will say the Army taught me to temper expectations. And what I mean by that is because we're trained to not have assumptions, to not sit there and think everything is so fixed or it's always going to be the best day or there's a such thing as a perfect plan. That's why we have contingencies. That's why we train the way that we do to adapt and evolve in the moment, as well as adapt preemptively if we start to see that the landscape is starting to change. It's all about being aware and being ready for whatever that change may be. You can't be fixed because, even though we can have the best reconnaissance known to man, I don't know, as soon as I stop looking through my lens or through the drones or whatever it is, things could change in that instant of a moment. If you go in there with that assumption or that expectation that, well, last thing I saw was that it was only 5 guys in this house. And, now you may go in there not knowing it was a trap door somewhere and now it's 10 dudes in the house. Now your ratio is off. The ratio that we go by to say, okay, do you engage or don't engage? Now you go in there, everybody, hurt or whatever. So assumptions and expectations can be very dangerous. And so you got to be ready to evolve. You hope for the best for certain things or certain outcomes, but you always got to be ready to evolve with what it is. And I don't mean that in a negative way. Something can change for the positive, and now you still got to be ready to evolve for it, or you may miss the opportunity. So it's not always in a negative sense, but you kind of, in lack of better terms, you got to roll the punches. So sometimes, you can sit there and have that expectation and it goes the way that you want. Sometimes it may not. How do you deal with it? And that's what the military more so focused on. It didn't focus on the expectations or assumptions because at the end of the day, those are irrelevant. It's how do you deal with it? Because at the end of the day, that's what life is. How do you deal with these things? Because they're going to come regardless. You can think you have the best plan, known to man, all these different things, and it still changes. So at the end of the day, again, at the core of it, what's there is how you deal with it, how you communicate it, how you sit there and evolve from the situation so that you can still win. And that's the biggest thing.
So with your example, what you just used, and even with what you did, you asked for, what about that person that feel like they're doing everything that they, I thought I communicated enough. Think about the kids that we mentor, bro. Like at the end of the day, we go in with those extra. Sometimes how many kids we don't went in and mentor and like, okay, our expectations for that kid is way up here. He's sharp, he's attentive, he's doing everything that he, that we would look for in these young men. And then as the school year go on, it's like, dang, little buddy just let me down. He done did something, that we wouldn't expect him to do, but he's still a kid. You know what I'm saying? So at that point, the expectation that we had of him, we don't. But I know we don't lose that expectation that we still had, that high expectation. We still hold him to those high regards to try to build him up. You know what I'm saying? So even though that kid may not understand what it is that his mentor is saying, what his mom is saying, what his dad is saying, what the teachers are saying, the only thing, you just said it, at the end of the day, what's going to be the best result in order to get you back, to get you up here with that, because everybody wants you to still exceed and be this excellent child, this excellent student. Like what's going to be how do you own your greatness in order to get you to where you're supposed to be? And that communication in itself, I think we do a good job as mentors to letting the kids know, like, hey, bro, this going to happen. I think we share that across the stage. We let them know all the time, like, hey, okay, we telling you what's the best way for you to go. Now, I may not always go this way, but you got to be able to deal with whatever that is in itself. So I think going back to you, like at that point, I feel like, even though the communication was there, I think it built you up to, like you say, right now where you are in life now. You don't experience those things in life. Well, playing college ball to where now it's like, okay, I understand that even though people may say they're going to do something for me, or even though people say, that we're on the same page, there's a good chance that we're not. And there's a good chance that somebody going to let me down. But this is how I'm going to go about it. I'm still going to make sure that I'm doing X, Y, Z in order to get the job done. You know what I'm saying? And I hope I answered your question as far as like, what do they do? Yeah. It's life.
You gotta be ready to roll with it because, like you said, you can have an expectation of something that's been locked in for a long duration, but things evolve, people evolve, even with the boys sometimes, right? We set an expectation of them because of where they are in the moment. Life don't stop. Life continues on. So because we set a static expectation for them in the moment, where they were in the moment, we met them where they were, which is good. Mm-hmm. But you got to remember that you met them where they were. They're going to still evolve and grow. So now that's what I'm saying. That expectation has to be ready to fluctuate, because now if you say you got a young man, for example, the expectation is I got to get you to college football, right? because that's where he is right now. That's his focus. Who's to say down the road is now another sport that catches his eye? Now you still riding on him, being like, man, why you not going to this 707? Why you not doing this? You're not taking time to check and say, why aren't you? Like, in the sense of trying to understand. You asking more in a chastising, scolding manner. That kid may be like, I picked up the guitar and I really like to play music now. So you have to be careful, because you may stop him from going something that's really catching his eye, and now you're forcing him into a box because you put an expectation there because of where you met him in that moment. That's why it's dangerous. You have to you set something, yes. Always set a standard, because you want something that's a default where they can rise to meet. But as they start to evolve and change, you got to be ready and say, okay, let's revisit this. Let's look at it and say, okay, is this still the path that you want to be on, or is it something else? Then that's when, as mentors, as family members, different things, you come in and support that change. And now you say, okay, well, this is a new expectation for what this new thing is that you want. And then you just keep working with that.
Yeah, I'm sorry, but he just gave an example of something that happened Monday. So yesterday, bro, literally on a car ride over. And this kid, I'm thinking, we all this know the kid, and it's like, we said that he was going to do sports. He was going to go to college. Man, he literally on the ride, he was just like, I ain't playing this shit because it's just not, I'm going another route. It took for me in that moment, bro, I wouldn't say, what? Like, nah, but I had, as a mentor, as a father, I mean, I got to understand, because even with my kids, my son, everybody say he following in my footsteps. I constantly have to tell myself, like, at any day, this man may say, I don't want to play football. I don't want to follow y'all footsteps. I got to be ready to accept that, but still guide him, communicate with him, like, okay, it's okay for you not to go in this direction, but, let's go that direction that you're going to. Let's figure out how to help you thrive in that direction. You know what I'm saying? So to your point, it just, even with the kid, it's just, we have to, when I heard that, it threw me, but I also was excited because I know, through the mentorship that we have and, his family support, whatever direction that they young man go in, he gonna be straight up. You know what I'm saying? Even though those expectations that we all probably have for him, like, all right, he gonna be through the roof. He gonna be this 5-star kid. So that was big what you just spoke on, because again, that literally just happened. But that's life. That's life.
No. Even when I was gonna get back to it, and I prefaced that question to put it out to come back and say this. That moment, bro, of feeling like, of always just feeling so uncertain of like, just why, and walking into and not understanding that I had control too. So like in the moments, like I said, even if it takes a person, if you're a person that feel, uncertain in the environment or your expectation not being met, I'm the person today, if I have to say every day, to like remind you every day, like, hey, remember what we said, right? If that's what you got to do in a situation, that's what you got to do. And I know that may come off as, you may not be confident in the person, but you got to do whatever you take. And I think that's how I address it today. Now, I literally bugged some of the people in my life through the expectation I put out, because I want to overly communicate to you to let you know, because I know what it feels like to be let down. I know what it feels, and that's worse than me just having a simple, like, hey, remember this, right? Or, hey, we going to do this, right? Or, hey, reminding you of the goal. Just like anything when we do, making sure they on your greatness. So when we put the energy, effort, and the power, like these things are measures that we're putting in place to make sure that we're not being let down. And the same thing, I think that's what, the people that's watching, that you have to set those measures in place, that making sure that you're not being let down. Any situation you get down and you feel like you are let, you got to put the ball in your court. And that's what I do now. Like, if a situation don't go the way I think it should go, I always look at myself. I did. What could I have done better? If I expect for you to do something and do it, I feel like, okay, it's something that I did wrong. I didn't communicate to you the right way. I didn't give you the right information to know that you should have, this is what the expectation was. And I think that's what you do. So when you put the ball in your own court, man, it alleviates all the stress, because again, all you got to do is look back at yourself and look at that mirror and look at yourself. And that's kind of what I wanted to get back to, man, because I think it's too many people walking around expecting more for others. And a lot of people expect somebody to do more for them than they do for themselves. You know what I mean? Somebody will be home being lazy, not doing what they supposed to do, but you expect somebody else to go over and beyond for you. How am I supposed to jump over hurdle for you? You won't even jump over hurdle for yourself. And I think that's a big thing, man. You got to look at yourself. I'm not. Nobody will. Nobody's gonna go that extra yard for you, and you ain't going that extra yard for yourself. That's even like in the sense of this nonprofit space. A lot of people want to see, what can have you put in before somebody else give you something? Even investment or any type of big type of thing when people investing their money in. You investing in this too? I want to make sure, because if it go down too, I want to make sure I ain't the only one that's tasting. Nah, like you got some skin in the game too. And I think that's a big thing, man. I think, again, just around the world, because around the world we got a lot of unmet expectations. And that's what's causing the chaos that we got going on. A lot of people don't feel like the left side, the right side, the other side of town, that they getting more than us, and we should need this and we need this. It's like their expectation, man. You got to be able to get on the same page with people. Maybe take a triple on the other side of town and figure out how they get it, or figuring out why they getting it, why you not. You know what I mean? Be able to mesh these things together. And I think that makes for a community, and that makes for a better situation and a better life, man. So unmet expectation, man. The ball is in your court. Don't wait for nobody else. You got full authority. You got the full accountability in yourself to be able to ask questions, be able to call around and see why these things are happening, to be able to get it on track, man. So I know we got to get up out of here. So I just want to spin that. So anything on the last things on unmet expectations, anything you want to get to people?
Unmet expectations is just like the changes. When the expectations are different, sometimes, again, back to the example that we used, that kid's mind changed. What's the only thing in this world that's constant? Change. You got to be able to change with that, but find out that communication will help those unmet expectations, and that communication will help those changes that may come, that will come, because they're going to come, but that communication will help everybody get back on the same page.
All right, so Brother Myles. What does it say? That boy, you say that boy gave a Tupac chord or something. Well, that's a Tupac song. But nah, man, make sure you like and subscribe and comment right now. Stop what you're doing, smash that like back button. Smash that subscribe button, man. We need your support. This is a family thing, man. Again, we are in our infant stages when it comes here to the EL2A Podcast. But we're moving fast. I think this may be episode 40, 41, whatever it's going to be. Man, I look forward to those days when we can have in-person live events, man, and have this podcast traveling around, man. And we appreciate you. Anybody that watch, man, from the number one to the however many people watch, we don't take it lightly. So we definitely appreciate you all for watching. If there's any people that you think should be on this podcast, man, drop it in the comments. Anything, topics you think we should talk about, drop them in the comments, man. Just give us feedback, and we'll be able to provide you the information that you need. So, man, we definitely appreciate you all for watching. Again, last thing I'm gonna leave you all with: you have full control. If there's any expectations that you feel are being unmet, man, go figure out why. Don't think about the other person there. It's in that. Nah, it is what it is. It's their fault. Nah, just say it's your fault. Figure out why it's going that way and be able to change it, man. So that's all I got for y'all. Let's see y'all next time.